And welcome to this OMNI Coalition news show, aka TOCNS. This show is an amalgam of strange, weird, bizarre, off-the-wall, and otherwise things you don't normally see anymore from most news sources these days. During a time of political overabundance and divisiveness, we present you with more unifying topics to discuss for the most part. For links to those articles, the music done by Carrera, and anything else potentially interesting, check the underbar of the description below. Anyway, I am Xander, and I am joined by... I didn't hear that.
The Slayer. I had my mic turned off.
Yeah, that would work. I was like, did he do a stupid meathead move again? He forgot to turn his microphone on. That silly Billy.
See, now it's on. As you can see, now it's on.
And also Protoblob.
Yes, the big blob. Hooah.
Whoa! And a duck. And a random duck.
The random duck.
So today we have big news, big fist, and big blob.
Yes, we do. Anyway, starting off the news today, from Rebel News, the words American, grandfather, brave, and trigger warning, there are all words added to the Stanford University of Harmful Language Index. What? Like, yeah, my response exactly, Brados. Says here, United States citizens, or Americans, individuals who are from the United States, should no longer be called Americans, but rather U.S. citizens. Oh no, this sounds like me. Oh no, what have I done? I think I might have been a catalyst behind this. According to Stanford's University Index, one can find the words such as walk-in, brave, and grandfather. Walk-in? What? What? How? Like,
that's very brave of them.
The university says the terms or expressions listed in the index could be ableist, ageist, colonialist, culturally appropriative, gender-based. Stanford University also cites the following reasons for the entries being harmful: imprecise language, institutionalized racism, person-first, violent, and additional considerations. End quote. What?
You know what's funny about this? Universities were invented in Europe, so they do cultural appropriation by having one.
Jeez. So what say you, Brados?
It's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna move on up here. Sorry, I was typing a response to a Discord server here. More from Rebel News. Chinese interference in Canadian elections to be pervasive, 2020 intel given to Trudeau government says. Not surprising. Let's hear, in February 21st, 2020 Daily Foreign Intelligence Memo, the Trudeau cabinet was informed of a subtle but effective foreign interference network allegedly operated by China. The Chinese foreign interference would have happened during the federal 2019 election, which saw Justin Trudeau re-elected as Prime Minister, defeating the then Conservative leader Andrew Scheer. Trudeau won 150 seats en route to winning a minority government, while Scheer managed to obtain 121 seats to form the opposition. The document detailing the alleged interference by the Chinese Communist Party in Canadian politics is heavily redacted. The document was brought up in the House of Commons by Conservative MP for St. Albert, Edmonton, Michael Cooper. While it reveals cabinet received documents from the Privy Council pointing towards Chinese interference in the 2019 elections, on December 2nd, 2022, Trudeau denied having received briefings on candidates receiving money from China. Quote, that's something that we know. Getting into further details, we know there is ongoing interference in Canada. We are going to continue to try and counter it, end quote, Trudeau added. Yeah, sure. So, that guy is in the pocket of China so deep. So, yeah. What say you guys? You know, like...
Wasn't there also some interference in the Canadian elections from Canada?
How so?
Well, it's Canada, so they interfered in their own elections.
Oh, well, yeah. Alright.
Also, the document is probably as heavily censored as the Chinese internet.
Yeah, nothing but, just everything blacked out with a Sharpie. Anyway, we're going to continue on more from Rebel News. Wow. Children are being compelled to disclose their sexuality by school survey.
What?
I know. You took the word right, you took the word right out of my mouth. Ontario school board solicited the gender identity and sexual orientation of young, impressionable, school-aged children, and you can help make sure that this is inappropriate infringement does not happen again. Various school boards may have acted out of their mandates by soliciting inappropriate information about school-aged children as young as grade 4, largely without their parents' knowledge or consent. See, in today's world, simply sending your child to school is considered implied consent for the various things that you may partake in there. So having the ability to opt out means first being informed so that you can actually opt out. Yet many parents were not aware that their young children in elementary school would be asked to disclose their sexual orientation or gender identity during a survey conducted at school, and it appears from emails discovered in an access to information request that was filed by the author of this article, that these questions were supposed to be sent home to the parents, not to be done in the classroom unbeknownst to the parents. Elementary-aged school children should now not know their sexual orientation, and asking for this information of them while laying out options that should be entirely foreign to children is grooming 101. Yeah. So, and of course, there's a lot more to this article. Please go to the underbar of the description below to further read on this particular subject matter and everything we've covered and will cover. So, this is madness. Anyway, more from Rebel News. Rebel News' reporter catches senior Pilzer executive spreading misinformation about COVID jabs. So another buzzword. I don't like it when anybody says this on either side. So
it's called Pfizer. Those are the guys who made the pills for the
Says here in today's report, it is brought to us part 2 of the investigative report in which they questioned Pfizer's senior director of global vaccines public affairs, Diane Thompson, about Pfizer's underperforming Kung Flu poke. But that's not all. Instead of stopping after Thompson regurgitated the typical non-transparent claims that have kept Pfizer laughing its way to the bank since the declared pandemic, it's also bring the three leading Canadian scientists to help sort through some of the misinformation Thompson spreads when questioned. University of Guelph Associate Professor of Viral Immunology and Vaccine Maker Dr. Byram Brittle, University of BC Professor of Immunology and Neurology and COVID antibiotic researcher with Canisius Bioinformatics Dr. Stephen Pelich, and peer-reviewed physicist and statistical analyzer Dr. Dennis Rancourt, who are featured in this report, are all more than qualified to debunk the big pharma executives' claims. All three experts cover a broad range of science and have united their efforts to offer the public, quote, balanced evidence-based information, end quote, to save lives and restore Canada during COVID, through their work at the Canadian COVID Care Alliance. So, this is just like blowing the lid off of this shebang or something. I don't know what else to say about that. But yeah, no, please go give this a read. You know, there's a lot more. Well, there's not really much more to it, so I'm gonna have to move on up here. More from Rebel News. Feds hiring social media snoops to monitor Canadians' opinions on vaccines. Can anyone say thought police? So now, basically, what you're saying publicly about these things are being monitored, but that's nothing new. Quote, in preparation for increased vaccination education, promotion, and outreach, the Public Health Agency of Canada, or FAC, is requiring the services of a consultant to analyze the vaccine-related conversations on social media and FAC social media initiative and campaign performance, end quote. The digital eavesdropper will be required to read the online chatter of Canadians dating back to before the federal government overreacted to COVID-19. So they're going all the way back to before all this crazy stuff happening. The consulate will analyze vaccine-related conversations and their participants in Twitter and social media channels, including Reddit, blogs, forums, and news, spanning up to 3 years of historical data. I wonder if Facebook is going to be in there, although they didn't mention it by name, but it has to be. The consulate will analyze FACT's social media initiative and campaign performance, including content engagements and the campaign's influence on vaccine-related conversation. So, yeah, I mean, we live in a society where they will dig through 7 years of Twitter history to find a tweet that possibly might be somewhat mildly offensive, sent by then at the time a 13-year-old. all just to crush his political career because of his stance. So, Big Brother is always watching, and now the wiretap's in your home. With your Amazon Alexas and your Series, and your Google Help things or whatever they're even called. Obviously, I don't have any of them. I don't even know what they're called. So.
And that's why the cancel culture guys eventually cancel all each other.
Yep. Gonna move on up here. More from Rebel News. ABZ presenter speaks out, describes vaccine injury as living hell. Yep. Says here, ABC News reporter Eleni Roussos has spoken out about suffering a Kung Flu prune juice injury, describing it as a living hell. The national broadcaster's Northern Territory presenter said she had been inspired to share her story after former AMA President Karen Phelps went public with her own experience. Roussos wrote on Twitter, quote, inspired by @Dr. Carrie N. Phelps, today I want to say I too have been in the living hell with pericarditis because of the COVID vaccine. Vaccine injuries are real and serious, and I sincerely hope more people will speak up, end quote. What is this? So let's see here. Search on Google. It is a swelling and irritation of the thin sac-like tissue surrounding the heart. Pericarditis often causes sharp chest pain. The chest pain often occurs when the irritated layers of the pericardium rub against each other. Pericarditis is usually mild and goes away without treatment. But, this goes along with all the various medical, especially respiratory and circulatory issues that a lot of people have been experiencing after getting the poke. The Fauci ouchie. So, let's not forget.
That other thing that Pfizer did before that, was for the male enhancement, that also heart issues. So they have a history of that.
Well, the whole thing about male enhancement is it's supposed to, make your blood pump more so you can get more activity down there, as the saying goes, men are born with two heads but only have enough blood for one. So, yep. Anyway, we're going to move on up here. More from Rebel News. ABC doubles down after authority rules it misled viewers. Here we go again. That's all they do is double down. They never admit to, their screw-ups. What a bunch of 5-year-olds. The ABC has launched a blistering counterattack rather than apologize after being hit with multiple code breaches for misleading viewers in a Four Corners program. The Australian Communications and Media Authority ruled this week that a Four Corners report entitled Fox and the Big Lie has misled viewers and breached the ABC's own code. But instead of apologizing, the national broadcaster hit back, accusing ACMA of bias. Of course they did. A statement by the ABC said the broadcaster was deeply concerned that the regulator's findings were subjective and inconsistent. Liberal Senator James McGrath told Sky News Australia the ABC's response to the national regulator's findings was inappropriate. So even the Liberals are saying, hey, this is enough. This is too much. Huh. So good. The ACMA conducted a year-long investigation into the two-part current affairs program hosted by star reporter Sarah Ferguson after Fox News complained that the program was an unfair critique of them. The ACMA agreed that the program was materially misleading in that it deliberately omitted relevant information that would have caused viewers to see Fox News in a detrimental light. As just one example, the ABC highlighted how two Fox News presenters attended a 2018 rally for then-President Donald Trump, but the program did not tell viewers that Fox publicly reprimanded the pair. Huh. Alright. So, yep. Another article here from Rebel News. Welcome to Oshawa, where feeding and clothing the homeless is strictly verboten. What does verboten mean?
Verboten means forbidden in German.
Especially by an authority. Yep. So, and we have a couple articles about this here. With the holidays coming up, Christmas is just like 3 days away. A lot of people are, feeling more humanitarian. They want to go out, help in soup kitchens, help people in need, the elderly, veterans, a lot of people out there are in need, especially the homeless. And for some reason, cities, almost, on a beat every time at this time of year, every year, cities start cracking down on, helping homeless and everything. But here's one story we have about this. One would think that distributing food, clothing, and toiletries to those in dire need would be a good thing. But in the city of Oshawa in Ontario, it bears the slogan, "Prepare to be amazed." Alas, the amazement these days would appear to be from all the wrong reasons, at least when it comes to volunteerism. Case in point, on Sunday, volunteers with a group called Communities for Freedom distributed clothes, toiletries, and food to the homeless people who tend to coverage around Memorial Park. But they did so under duress. Prior to this event, the group was sternly warned that being a good Samaritan is not something the city tolerates, even just days before Christmas. Indeed, these volunteers were warned that if they carried out their plan to help the homeless, by-law officers would be on hand to ticket them. Wow. So you help your fellow man and you're going to get a citation. Wonderful. Ashley Wickett, who heads up the Communities for Freedom, says she has received an email from Oshawa bylaw enforcement officer last Thursday warning her that the city, quote, may issue administrative monetary penalties to any or all individuals involved in the organizing of the event or distribution, end quote. The email referenced the city's Parks and Facilities bylaw, which prohibits holding a public gathering in a park without a permit and selling or distributing goods in a park. Really though, you're gonna use technicalities to go after people who are trying to help other people in need? Absolute madness. So, but here we go. This is what, as I was saying. Here's another article here from Rebel News. Calgary pastor receives a court summons for feeding the homeless. So now he's going to court for feeding the homeless. The writer of this article went to meet up with the founder of Mission 7 Ministries, Pastor Derek Reimer, to discuss the latest on pastor prosecutions. As was reported a few weeks ago when Calgary police approached volunteers from Mission 7 Ministries to threaten them with fines starting at $10,000. Since then, Pastor Derek received a court summons for feeding the homeless in downtown Calgary while preaching the gospel. So there we go. So on top of that, he's preaching Christianity. Oh, wee woo, religious, wee woo. This wouldn't be the first time Pastor Derek was ticketed for taking care of those in need. Just earlier this year, Derek was ticketed for using amplification during the City of Calgary Mayor Jyoti Gondek's heinous no honking injunction following the invocation of her so-called emergency injunction. Oh, so during the honking. So, yeah, beyond the honking, the injunction prohibited lawful protesting and went on for weeks. The only way to bypass Gondrek's vengeful injunction was to be granted a permit by the City of Calgary, which, as we all know, that the mayor has a hand in deciding. After all, how could it not? So, just awful, disgusting people in charge of things, trying to slowly ruin society. So.
Yes.
Yep. And our last article here from Rebel News. Federal spending on vaccine awareness was 100 times higher than ads warning of opioid dangers. Wow. Says here, documents obtained through an inquiry of ministry indicate that $113 million was spent by Health Canada agencies on COVID and or COVID-related or vaccination advertising versus just $1.5 billion spent on informing the public of the dangers of opioids. Which, of course, they don't want to warn the public of the dangers of opioids. They're made in China, and Canada is in China's pocket. They don't want to hurt, Big Daddy China. There is a total of 32,632 opioid toxicity deaths between January of 2016 and June of 2022. Just 6 years. Opioid poisoning deaths have skyrocketed from 8 per day in 2016 to 20 per day in 2022. Although people at the age of 65 and older accounted for 94.1% of all COVID deaths in Canada in 2020, opioids are killing young men in the prime of their lives. 76% of the people who die because of opioids are men. The majority of opioid poisonings are among individuals aged 20 to 59. The drug of choice is fentanyl, which is so often trafficked to the United States and Canada by crime rings based in China, as I said. And what was it that George Floyd died of? Fentanyl. Yep, the government has had a misplaced focus on the Kung Flu, telling young people struggling with despair, loneliness, job loss, fear, and isolation to do drugs over FaceTime to avoid accidental poisoning. So, wow. Canada, Australia, the United States, all of Europe, like everywhere, just completely flipped on their head. You know.
How do you do drugs over FaceTime?
Oh, I've seen it happen. There's somebody I know who straight up did the devil's powder right in front of me, you know, on camera. Like, so I've seen it happen. Well, anyway, let's move on up to Oddity Central. This one's weird. I gotta read a lot of this here. Holy liposuction. Pastor miraculously shrinks woman's waist during live event. How? This might be an actual miracle here. A Christian pastor has come under fire for claiming to miraculously shrink a woman's waist by 2 sizes through prayer during a live sermon. There is a controversial video doing the rounds on Latin Twitter these days. It shows a Christian pastor speaking to an audience and asking an overweight lady to join him on stage. When a brave young woman decides to honor his request, the pastor asks her if she is a true believer. She then tells her that for those who truly believe anything is possible. The pastor tells the woman to raise her hands and asks God to shrink her waist by 2 sizes. A woman is called to touch the woman's abdomen, and the pastor orders 2 sizes off the woman's waist, declaring a miracle. Let's watch this video here. So let's see here. So he has her asking if she's a believer, yada yada. So let's see here. I'm expecting to just... Alright, it's going okay. She's coming up. Places her hand on her abdomen. Okay, I see fluctuations. I don't know what's
She's
going on.
sucking it in.
Yeah.
That's fake. She's sucking it in.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it. Her hand was rimming the inside of her the pants as she went around her.
Yeah.
So. I'm not seeing any difference.
So, like, what religion?
Christian.
Go fucking figure.
Yeah.
Liposuctionism.
I don't see. No. She physically didn't change at all, and she's just wearing a baggier.
You
pants.
sucked her gut in.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, they staged 100%.
Yeah. All right.
It's just feeding into the crazy. Most of those people are crazy. I swear to God, they are.
I've seen such miracles happen though. It's usually when a woman gives birth.
Technically, I wasn't born. I'm just a sentient tumor, so I have no soul. Anyway, from Oddity Central again, man impersonates army officer for 4 years to impress women. Nothing good about stolen valor here. Chinese man was recently arrested after it was discovered that he had posed as a senior colonel in the Chinese army in order to impress women. A couple of days ago, police in Jiangnan County, China's Jiangxi province, put out a statement regarding the apprehension of a man who had been posing as a senior colonel in the Army's rocket division for over 4 years. The man, identified only as Zhu, has apparently turned up for kung flu testing at a medical facility in Ao Township, dressed in an official uniform that featured all the insignia of a high-ranking officer. He even had genuine-looking identification documents on him, but when the staff ran his name through the database, they found no one with his title in the Chinese army, so they called the police. Upon questioning Zhu, police agents weren't satisfied with his explanations, so he was taken to the Ao Township police station for further investigation. After failing to talk his way out of trouble, the middle-aged man admitted that he was no colonel and that he has bought his uniform and identification documents on the internet. So, Zhu confessed that he had always dreamed of having a highly respected and coveted position in the Chinese army, mostly because women seek to be attracted to officers. So when he found a realistic colonel uniform on the internet back in 2018, he decided to start a new life as an army officer. China is not a good place to try to do something like that, though, man. Like, I'm surprised he wasn't executed, you know? You got to understand, though, like, you know, with China, especially, like, you know, the one baby policy and everybody who kept killing, you know, their daughters and all that stuff, it's gotten really nuts. Like, we spoke about this a while ago, another article on this very show, about how how gifting to, you know, potential wives or, you know, to their family has gone from, like, you know, normal things like I don't know, like housewares, furniture, cooking, things, to buying cars, buying businesses, buying houses, because for every one woman there is in China, there's like 50 men or something crazy. So, I mean, this guy probably thought he had no shot unless he like pretended, people are very desperate for mates out there. And a lot of them are gonna, a lot of family lineages are gonna cease to exist within the next 50 some odd years, So, but hey, yeah.
The one world politic has failed.
Yeah, but with the outrageous amount of people there are in China, they do need a population stemming. So does India, so does Mexico, so does the U.S. Everybody does. So something needs to happen. We have way too many consumers and not enough products. Anyway, we're going to move on up here to the Mirror, and this one's just ugly. Grandma defends charging her family for Christmas dinner after being called a Scrooge. Why would you charge your family to eat dinner? It's Christmas. What the hell? A grandma who hosts Christmas dinner for 12 members of her family has defended her decision to charge them, including the children, for the meal, even though some have criticized her as a Scrooge. I mean, I understand times are tough, man, but don't charge your family Christmas dinner, Caroline Dudridge, at the age of 63, recently revealed she charges adults in her family between £10 and £15, depending on their income, while her grandchildren are charged based on their age, with a 12-year-old and 3 9-year-olds paying £5 each, and 2 3-year-olds having to part with £2.50 or whatever. I don't know. The grandma from Cardiff has now said that while some people have told her that she's being unfair with her payment plan, she still believes it's a good idea and doesn't plan on changing anytime soon. Bro, it's Christmas, not Hanukkah, Don't charge your family. Come on. Speaking to BBC Radio 5 Live, she said, quote, "There's a few out there who think I'm a bit of a Scrooge, but my friends think it's quite a good idea. I'm hoping that people won't think it's a terrible thing and think, that's a good idea. No, that's a bad idea. It's not fair at all. You want to charge for your dinner, don't have a dinner. That's simple. Go somebody else. It's Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if Jesus showed up, he wouldn't like being charged. So that's ridiculous.
Also, the 3-year-olds, I don't know how they are supposed to earn the $2.50.
Well, the parents pay, obviously, but still, it's dumb. Like who charges children? It's bad enough that you're charging, adults, but you're charging kids to eat on Christmas. You're charging children to eat a family meal with family on Christmas. I hope to God nobody shows up for her dinner anymore. I hope she just spends Christmas alone in that house for the rest of her days, because that's what she deserves, until she learns some goddamn humility, Anyway, gonna move on up to UPI, as we know as UPI. North Carolina graduate's message in a bottle reaches Portugal. That's interesting. Class of 2020. Okay, so it took a couple years. A message in the bottle dropped into the ocean by North Carolina high school graduate in 2020 has been found on a beach in Portugal more than 2 years later. Charles Temple, an English teacher at the Oracoke School in Hyde County, said he has made it a tradition for the past 5 years to take the school's tiny graduating class for a summer boat trip and have them toss the messages in bottles into the Gulf Stream. The messages consist of handwritten notes on the seniors' graduation programs. Temple said he never received word of any of the bottles ever being found until Elena Breton tagged the school on Facebook in a post saying she had found a message in a bottle Saturday on a beach in Setúbal, Portugal, more than 3,600 miles away. Burton included a photo of the graduation program, which featured pictures of the 8 students in the 2020 graduating class, and a note saying it had entered the ocean on July 26, 2020. Well, that's pretty cool. Although at the same time, with all the crap in the ocean, we really shouldn't, be throwing anything more things into the ocean, but, everybody likes finding messages in bottles,
Yeah, there is a very famous case where a girl has sent a message in actually a balloon, and then a farmer found it and he knew a girl with the same name and gave that balloon to her, and then the both girls became friends.
Nice. I think I remember hearing about that. And see, we have been joined by DJ Floats, aka Drugs Joe, aka Naptime Josephus, aka the Sleeping Guy. Welcome to the show, good sir. We're gonna move on up here. This is a weird, wild story. More from Oopie. Kangaroo spotted wandering loose on Missouri Road. How did it get there? What the fuck? Like, authorities in a Missouri county confirmed a kangaroo was recently spotted roaming loose around a road. Jefferson County Services Director Eric Larson confirmed a kangaroo was spotted near a High Ridge road recently, although Animal Control was not contacted on the incident. At least one local resident captured the animal on camera during its time on the loose. Larson said the kangaroo is believed to escape from the S&S Farms Exotic Petting Zoo in High Ridge. Officials with the petting zoo confirmed the kangaroo seen on the loose is named Reuben and was safely returned to the facility after only a short time on the loose. So, well, there we go. There is a kangaroo in where was it? Missouri. Huh.
But unfortunately, it didn't have the license to jump around on the road.
Yeah. This is America. We need license for everything. Soon breathing. So. Anyway, I love this one. I gotta tell my dad about this because we loved watching this movie every year until like somewhat recently. From AP News, a Cousin Eddie display in Kentucky leads to police response. And if anybody knows of this movie, Christmas Vacation from National Lampoon, Cousin Eddie, shitter's full. And of course we have the destroyed chair where with the cat outline where it was gnawing on some wires and got electrocuted, and as well as the highly lubricated sled. Later, dudes. Pew! So, yeah. Yeah, Brados knows what I'm talking about.
Gem. That movie's a gem. It really is.
It really is. Anyway, a Cousin Eddie display in Kentucky apparently looked a little too real, and police were called to check it out. Uh-oh. After receiving the call, a dispatcher described the scene to responding officers as a male standing outside. He is naked. He has a robe covering part of his body. He is exposing himself, and he has a hose between his legs. He is naked. Officers arrived at the Shepherdsville home to find a mannequin in the yard that looked like Cousin Eddie from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It was decorated with a robe, a hat, a cigar, and a beer, and was holding what appeared to be an orange hose, WDRB-TV reported. Yeah, because the shitter is full. Homeowner Joni Keeney said she decided to put up the display from her favorite Christmas movie to have some fun. Quote, everybody has a Cousin Eddie in their family. Everybody, Keeney said. I just want people to have a good Christmas and get a laugh, end quote. Responding officers did get a laugh and took some photos of the display. Never a dull moment, Shepherdsville Police Chief Rick McCubbin said. So, yeah. No. Cousin Eddie. Good old Cousin Eddie. Oh. And then...
At least police took it with humor.
Yeah, good. And last but not least, from AP News as well, Glass Act, scientists reveal secrets of frog transparency. So, like, you know how some frogs, they have translucent skin? You know, you can see through them, kind of somewhat see their organs and such like that. It says here, some frogs found in South and Central America have the rare ability to turn off and on their nearly transparent appearance, researchers report Thursday in the journal Science. During the day, these nocturnal frogs sleep by hanging underneath tree leaves. Their delicate greenish transparent forms don't cast shadows, rendering them almost invisible to birds and other predators passing overhead or underneath. But when northern glass frogs wake up and hop around in search of insects and mates, they take an opaque reddish-brown color. Quote, when they're transparent, it's for their safety, end quote, said Junie Yao, a Duke University biomedical engineer and study co-author. When they're awake, they can actively evade predators, but when they're sleeping and most vulnerable, they have adapted to remain hidden. Using light and ultrasound imaging technology, the researchers discovered the secret. While asleep, the frogs concentrate or hide nearly 90% of the red blood cells in their liver. Because they have transparent skin and other tissues, it's the blood circulating through their bodies that would otherwise give them away. The frogs also shrink and pack together most of their internal organs, Yao said. So that's interesting. Evolution is amazing, you know?
So don't feed alcohol to frogs.
No. I wouldn't recommend doing that. So, But that shall conclude the show. Once again, you can check the underbar, the description for any links you may be interested in, including but not limited to all things Omni Coalition. Pardon me, for your dose of different, otherwise unknown news. We stream Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time, which is 3 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Central,
and 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time,
as well as
11 p.m. German time.
Yep. Anyway, for all of you and all of us, I am Ayo Xander.
I am the Slayer.
And I'm Protoblob.
And in the live studio audience, we have DJ Floats. And of course, you viewer are you. And until you catch us tomorrow, or if you're interested in some history, we have a history show every single day at 10 in the morning Pacific Time. Anyway, until then, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Toodles!